getting into voting rights, though, let's just kind of just take a quick pivot, because for over, 100 years, from 1865 after the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery until 1965, when the Voting Rights Act passed, Black people were in a literal battle for the right to even vote. So that means that the white people in power, including the politicians and police, fought Black people with dogs, water hoses, guns, nooses to keep them from voting. And here we are today with a president who has now defunded the post office in the middle of a pandemic to again suppress the vote. Van, what is at stake here with voting rights and this whole election, bro?
So if you're a citizen of America, right, if you are a citizen of this country, there are certain things that are guaranteed to you. They're supposed to be guaranteed. Right? Mm-hmm. And those things, your humanity in America, whether or not this is the way that it should be, it's the way that it is. Your humanity in America is directly tied to the freedoms that are guaranteed to you, right? And because that is the way that it is, what the white supremacist power structure in America has routinely tried to do to Black people, not tried to do, succeeded in doing, is denying them citizenry. So as a way of denying them humanity, right? You don't have any say in your life. You don't have any say in what you eat and where you go to school, and who works on you, in your health care, in who is running this country. And so when you talk about voting rights and you talk about President Trump trying to steal an election, there are two things that are going on. Number one, he's not trying to steal an election from his people, the white racist base that he has. He's trying to steal it from you. So there's a portion of people who President Trump believes will not have a say in the election if we vote through mail-in ballots, right? Mm-hmm. And then a portion of people that he does believe in. That to me demonstrates how far a fascist regime like the Trump administration is willing to go. They talk about make America great again, right? Again is the key word, because remember, right, America was great when niggas was getting dogs turned on them, hoses turned on them, voting a revolutionary act when they had no say and when they had not one bargaining chip in the future or present of their existence in this country. So the reason why we have to vote en masse and the reason why we have to get out there, number one, you owe it to your ancestors to vote. I don't care what anyone says, you owe it to them. I look at my grandmother, talking to my grandmother's sitting down watching television. She's watching Donald Trump, right? She looks at Donald Trump and she says, look what I've left you. Mm. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? She's like, well, I was out there in the 50s and the 60s getting at it, so this wouldn't happen. In her mind, she cannot check out and leave this world the way it is. She can't. She doesn't want to see that, feel hollow and empty, like she didn't get what was supposed to have gotten done, but she did, because I am here with this voice to be able to say this. So for her, I'm going to vote, right? Number one, to assert that citizenry, and at the same time, to stop people who will put their thumb on Americans and lead it in a fascist way from having all the power that they want to gain. So if you want to have a say, you got to open your voice. You got to open your mouth, shall I say. And the way you open your mouth politically is by voting.
Okay, so with that being said, right after Bernie dropped out of the race, Puffy made an Instagram post that caught a lot of flack. He said, do we have that clip? Can we run this clip of what Puffy said real quick?
Trump made it clear that he wanted to build a wall. Biden needs to make it clear that he's going to change the lives and quality of life of Black and brown people, or else he can't get the vote. I will hold the vote hostage if I have to.
You said it here, said it first.
Breaking news. Breaking news.
So he's basically saying Black people need to hold the vote hostage. Shaun, Devon, I mean, who wants to weigh in on this? Because what's happening?
Well, I understood.
What does that even mean?
Well, I understood what he meant there, and he's followed up several times. I think, again, and you also have to think about when he said it as well. Like that doesn't register as much today, even as it did a few months ago when he said it. And I think his intent was to say, listen, we're going to vote, but we have to have something to show for it. We have to fight for what these politicians are actually going to stand for politically, even who they choose as VP. I think it was just him saying, again, in a tone that people thought was threatening or could cause damage or harm. I think Diddy's intent, though, was to say, listen, people should have to earn our vote, even if they've already received the Democratic nomination. And so I think the spirit of what he was saying there, I agree with and will always agree with. And people have to earn our vote. And I still stand by that ethic. But there's always going to be blowback when you are challenging the Democratic Party or the Democratic nominee. At the root of that, though, is something very real. People's nerves are frayed. People are terrified of the possibility that Donald Trump might be reelected. And so when you do something that people perceive in any way could harm the Democratic nominee, they freak out. And I've been in that space many times. What I've tried to say to people is you have to create room for not just Diddy, but millions of voters who aren't really fans of Joe Biden. You have to answer their questions, like answer their critiques, telling them to shut up and, like trying to suppress that frustration is not fruitful. And it really runs the risk of turning a lot of people into non-voters. And, that's how you lose, as we talk about Wisconsin, Trump won Wisconsin. That's how you lose states like Wisconsin, when people just say, I'm not showing up to vote. And so when people have questions about Kamala, about Joe Biden, about the Democratic Party, just answer the questions, and show up and earn those votes.
Got it. Brandon, you were on the front lines, getting college students and younger people involved in the Obama campaign through Barack the Vote. Right now, the kids are doing their thing on TikTok. You got old girl Kelly Ann Conway, the daughter of Claudia, essentially using the TikTok app to get her mom to leave the Trump administration. That's crazy. How important is it for the youth right now to tap in and, be a part of this election?
Well, I think to what Shaun was kind of alluding to a little bit was like thinking about young people, thinking about young Black people, and what a difference like we make in the election, right? Especially in the swing states. You're talking about like a 7% difference from when Obama won in 2012 and 2016 versus when Hillary ran, or 2008 and 2012 versus when Hillary ran in 2016. And what we did with Barack the Vote was to get people excited about voting, to kind of make it a trend, to be concerned and to be aware and to be active in the campaign and the issues that are going on. And so, I think it's insanely important for like young people to be involved in this election, but also to engage them with issues that people actually care about, But when you look at what TikTok or what people that were on TikTok did with Trump's campaign in Tulsa, Oklahoma, you see the power that they can have. When you look at what a lot of the K-pop fans, did with TikTok or did on Twitter when they're taking over these hashtags and stuff, that shit is powerful. And it changes the narrative, and it drowns out some of these negative things that they're saying on Twitter or that they say on social media that can have an impact. And so I'm like, you don't even have to be old enough to vote anymore to be active and to make a huge impact on the election. My hope is that they just keep it up. But to what Shaun said too, like the Biden campaign, Kamala, they need to talk about the issues that are important to them. I saw that Bakari Sellers is about to start doing a listening campaign with Biden, where they're actually listening to young Black men weekly, listening to what they're talking about and stuff. Like, I think stuff like that is important and will actually have an impact. So
Devon, they trying to shut down that post office though, man. What is voting looking like for us though in the midst of this pandemic with the craziness going on?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's like knowing that those forces are out there, I would recommend everybody vote as early as possible, and not wait until election day to get your vote in. Make sure it's counted. You can vote by mail. That is a legal thing to do. So I would really encourage everyone listening to take advantage of it. I do want to go back, though, You know, I love Puff. I mean, you know, like I started as an intern for Benny Medina when he was managing Puff. So I'd go, I've known him forever. I don't agree with that point of view. The issue that we're having right now is that it's like Trump says, hey, this is where we're going. Whether Republicans agree or not, they all get in line.
Yeah.
It's like we are fighting for our lives and things like that. Why can a man with the AK, you know, AR-15, young 17 white-year-old kid walk down the middle of the street and this happen? A lot of it has to do with what is being normalized from the very highest levels of power in our country. And so I do think that we got to tell everybody, listen, yeah, you better believe it. If we get Biden and Harris elected, we're going to hold them accountable. For right now, we got to get in line. We got to get in line. We got to push. We got to get behind this. Let's hold the vote hostage and put the right people in office. Because what happens when those messages get out there and we're sitting here on the sidelines like this, okay, well, what are we going to do? Let's wait, And let's be honest, if we're talking about a game, we're right now in a game, right? Like the offense, those that are in power, why are they handling the post office this way? Why? Because they're like, yo, we're going to try to control the outcome. We're going to, and guess what? Not everybody in the Republican Party is on board with what's happening, but guess what? They get in line. And so I'm not saying that Democrats should lower the bar. That's unhealthy,
though. It's unhealthy.
Sean, I understand what you're saying. I'm not done. I'm not saying that Democrats should lower the bar. I'm not saying that. But what's more unhealthy? Kids like us getting killed in the street, or standing on ceremony politically and not getting in the game and saying, "Yo, I'm not just gonna put my vote behind you just to put behind you." It's not even about you. It's about what we're against.
Gently push back on you,
fellas, it's getting spicy. We got to run the break real quick. This is but this is what I'm talking about. This is King talk. This is King talk. I see it happening. It's red, white, and blue, and you. It is the Kingz with Kosine. We will be right back with more of this on Fox Soul. It got a touch spicy. Hopefully you grabbed you a beverage. Welcome to Kingz with Kosine. Brothers accused of Devon of being saved by the bell. So just real quick before we move on, Van, Shaun, just quickly weigh in on
real quick. And with love. So I understand what you're saying. I understand how everyone's afraid. But here's the thing though. The phenomenon of the police shooting and killing Black people is not novel to the Trump administration. That's been happening for a long time. The conditions in our communities where we haven't gotten, if we're being honest, that's not something that either party has really set out to change for Black Americans, right? And part of the reason why is because politics is a game of give and take. And if you don't have to give anybody anything, they'll take everything from you, which is your vote, which is, your place in it. I am a registered Democrat. I'm leaning more of independent now because I believe in the political freedom and the political pliability, being nimble politically, so that we can actually get something from a politician. So when you say hostage, you didn't say kill the vote. You said hostage. A hostage can be released if you meet the demands. So I think people miss that. If you meet the demands, we'll give you what you want. But we're not just going to give it to you for nothing. I think that's all Puff was trying to say. I get why people are trepidatious about it, but that's what I would say.